Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 28, text number 38. Dehopi daiva vashaga khalu karma yavat Swarambhakam prati samikshata eva sasuhu Tamsa prapanchamadhiruda samadhi yogaha Swapnam punarna bhajate pratibuddha vastuhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The body of such a liberated yogi, along with the senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it functions until its destined activities are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position and thus situated in Samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Thus he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of a body in a dream. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The following questions may be posed. As long as the liberated soul is in contact with the body, why don't the bodily activities affect him? Doesn't he actually become contaminated by the action and reaction of material activities? In answer to such questions, this verse explains that the material body of a liberated soul is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not acting due to the living force of the living entity, it is simply acting as a reaction to past activities. Even after being switched off, an electric fan moves for some time. That movement is not due to the electric current, but is a continuation of the last movement. Similarly, although a liberated soul appears to be acting just like an ordinary man, his actions are to be accepted as the continuation of past activities. In a dream, one may see himself expanded through many bodies, but when awake, he can understand that those bodies were all false. Similarly, although a liberated soul has the byproducts of the body, children, wife, house, etc., he does not identify himself with those bodily expansions. He knows that they are all products of the material dream. The gross body is made of the gross elements of matter, and the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, ego, and contaminated consciousness. If one can accept the subtle body of a dream as false, and not identify oneself with that body, then certainly an awake person need not identify with the gross body. As one who is awake has no connection with the activities of the body in a dream, an awakened, liberated soul has no connection with the activities of the present body. In other words, because he is acquainted with his constitutional position, he never accepts the bodily concept of life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport.
So we are reading in this chapter Kapila's instructions to his mother about Ashtanga Yoga, and in these verses Kapila is explaining the most advanced stage, Adhirudha Samadhi Yoga, one who has attained Samadhi, which is the 8th stage in the Ashtanga process. And today's verse, Lord Kapila is saying, describing what happens to the body of such a liberated yogi who is on an advanced spiritual level. Dehopi daiva vashagaha. Such a liberated soul, his body is daiva vashagaha, is under the control of the Supreme Lord. The conditioned soul, like all of us, our deha is karma vashagaha. We are under the control of the reactions of our past deeds. But in the case of a yogi, he is daiva vashagaha. But what about his karma that he has performed in the past? Yes, that may be there, and he may be living for some more time, because this is all about a yogi who is liberated and living in this world. like we talked about in the previous two verses. This is about Jivan Mukta, a person who has become Mukta, but he is still living in this world. So, what about a Jivan Mukta, a yogi who has attained perfection, but still living in this world? And his life also goes through some suffering, some things, some happiness, all of those kind of things. Yes, Svarambhakam Karma Pratisamikshata. Yes, some of his past activities are still unfolding. Karma Pratisamikshata is still unfolding. But he is not creating any new sinful reaction. And also his reactions have also been burnt up. There may be some karma which may be unfolding. That's why Prabhupada is giving the example of a fan. You turn off the fan, the blades are still running for some time. So, Svarambhakam karma pratisamikshata. In this way, his deha sa asuhu, his body and his senses are acting. Tam saprapancham adhirudha samadhi yogaha. This is all about the person who is adhirudha samadhi yoga. Adhirudha is elevated. He has been risen to that level of samadhi through the yoga practice. So, adhirudha samadhi yogaha, such a person, saprapancham, his prapancham here, it means expansion. His own expansion in the form of his family, and such people may also be there in the case of a Jivan Mukta. So, how does he interact with them? Saprapancham na bhajate. He is not considering, identifying them as his own. He is not indulging in the matters of sense gratification with saprapancham, his own expansions, because he understands swapnam punarna bhajate, because he understands all this saprapancham, all these expansions in the form of family is all swapnam, is like a swapna, is like a dream. Because he is pratibuddha vastuhu. Pratibuddha means he is awakened. He is not apratibuddha, means to sleep. Pratibuddha means he is awakened to vastuhu. Vastu means substance, reality. And here Prabhupada has translated pratibuddha vastu, vastu to mean he is now awakened to his constitutional position. So, the body of such a liberated yogi, dehaha, along with the senses, sa asuhu, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Daiva Vashagaha. And it functions until its destined activities are finished. Svarambhakam pratisamikshata, karma pratisamikshata. They are unfolding according to certain destiny till they are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position, so pratibuddha vastuhu, and thus situated in samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, adhirudha samadhi yoga, does not accept the byproducts. Saprapancham na bhajate. Does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Na bhajate. Thus he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of a body in a dream. Swapnam punarna bhajate pratibuddha vastuhu. So, these are further descriptions of the advanced yogi. Broadly, there are two important points about the advanced yogi. One is that his life is Daiva Vashagaha, and whatever he is experiencing is just residual karma that is unfolding till it comes to an end. So, karma swarambhakam karma pratisamikshata. This is how his life is turning out to be. And the second important point is, such a person who has elevated to samadhi yoga and pratibuddha vastuhu, he saprapancham punarna bhajate. How does he deal with all the different activities connected with his body? He is not identifying with them. He is not indulging in them because he understands it is false. Swapnam. It is like a dream. So, these are the two broad points. And in the end, Prabhupada summarizes all of these things in a very succinct manner in the purport. In other words, because he is acquainted with his constitutional position, he never accepts the bodily concept of life. So all of this is coming from the bodily concept of life, that saprapancham, these are all my family members, and I must have good time with them, and I am related to them. Factually, as a spirit soul, we are not related to any of the bodies, including our own body. What to speak of the expansions of this body? This is all part of the material nature, whereas I am a spirit soul. So, that is the stage of a pratibuddha vastu, pratibuddha, fully awake. That is the stage of Krishna consciousness, when one is fully awakened to vastu, substance. In Western philosophy also, philosophers talk about vastu, substance, as distinguished from shadow. So, what is vastu and what is not? What is substance and what is not substance? So, what is shadow, in other words? So, a devotee or a yogi, a spiritualist, understands that the real vastu is my relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is the real vastu, and he is awakened to that. And he is not sleeping about it. And now he understands. That is why the verse that Srila Prabhupada composed on board Jaladuta, if you remember, we were singing those songs. Tomara se shakti pele, Guru sevaya vastu mile. By your potency, Srila Prabhupada is writing, Tomara se shakti pele, I obtained your potency. By that, Guru sevaya vastu mile. And by serving the spiritual master, vastu mile, I got the real substance of life. So, this is the real substance, pratibuddha vastu, that we should not be running after shadows in this material world, or as our body, things connected with the body, and our aspiration for elevating this body, enjoying this body with sense gratification, with position and honor. All of these things are shadows. They all don't exist. They exist for a while and they are all gone. So a spiritualist should understand that. And so when one is awakened, he understands all these things are trivial things. It has happened to many of the devotees when we had to join the temple. We had to reason these things. Because for a long time, we grew up in the culture, in our family, our friends, the material world constantly was telling us that how we must make money, enjoy life, have good things of life. And so that was the kind of an understanding we all grew up with. And then after we started reading Srila Prabhupada's books and chanting Krishna's name, for following some of the principles that Prabhupada has given, gradually we become disinterested in it. See, that is what has happened to all of us. So, gradually, and those things which we considered as the most important thing in our life, we were ready to give up. So, that is because of the soul becoming awakened. Earlier, the soul was sleeping and was dreaming about Saprapancham. Oh, such a wonderful world. I must enjoy in this world. I must make it big in this world. So we were enjoying in that kind of a mood. But then when a person begins to chant Hare Krishna, practice devotional service, the soul is awakened. And at that time we have seen some devotees, how their parents would come and drug them and do so many things, hold them back. But still, moment they get a little opportunity, the soul is awakened. They give up everything and again try running away from the home. So many times these kind of things have happened. This is because the soul is awakened. When the soul is awakened, nobody can stop. Nobody can force such a person in material activities. So that is the position of an awakened. So gradually this awakening happens. Now the converse is also true. Meaning, if we are still involved in material enjoyment connected with this body, wealth, position, family, and the pleasures that I can get from the family relations, and those kind of things, that means we are still sleeping. The soul is not yet pratibuddha. It is still asleep. It is still dreaming. The dream is continuing. So here, the verse is saying, Saprapancham punarna bhajate. A yogi does not, he is awakened, he does not enjoy. It's like saying, suppose I am a student and I am studying for an exam. Like during exam, we all studied very intensely for many, many days and weeks, day and night. So a student is studying, and in the few hours that he sleeps, because he is so absorbed in the exam and all that, he has a dream. And in the dream, the exam is over and he is passed. He has got all the grades or degree or rank or something. And then suddenly he wakes up and he calls all his friends and then he has a party. I already passed the exam. So this verse says, when a person is woken up, he does not engage in a party like that with his family and friends. Because now he knows that I passed the exam was in the dream. There's nothing to celebrate about it. Now I am awakened, still the exam is yet to come. So that's the understanding. So, but sometimes in the dream you can continue. You can pass the exam and you can have a party with the friends in the dream. That can happen also, but that's all in the dream. In the same way, if we are not awakened, we will continue to seek such pleasures and such enjoyment in the material world. So that is the nature of the Krishna consciousness development, how it awakens. There was once a devotee. He was attached to his mother a lot. And then at some point, he took sannyas. And then Prabhupada heard about that. And then Prabhupada instructed him after he became a sannyasi. So you want only your mother to get all the mercy, or you want the whole world to get the mercy? Now you are a sannyasi. So Prabhupada, in other words, was saying that yes, one may have some feelings for mother. It is all. We should, not that we ignore our mother or father, any such thing. But we should also understand that that is a relationship coming out of the body. And it is not that we want to, it is not that we are just going to be focused with that small family. Now, the whole world we understand Krishna is our supreme. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is our supreme Father. The whole world belongs to Krishna's family and we belong to that family. So it's a much larger, much bigger, expanded thinking than to think that me, my family, and that kind of a thing. So, and that is what Srila Prabhupada was instructing that devotee. Now that you are a sannyasi, you have to show mercy to the whole world. Don't restrict your mercy only to your mother. So, like that, sometimes Prabhupada brought this kind of an understanding among devotees. Now, another important thing is here, Prabhupada has given this example because this verse says, a yogi who is pratibuddha vastuhu, he has become enlightened about his constitutional position in relation to Krishna, because that is real substance. And all of these things in the material world, saprapancham, they are all swapnam. They are all just a dream. So this he attains when he is adhirudha samadhi yoga. He has attained that stage, elevated, adhirudha, he was promoted, he was elevated, he is mounted, risen up to that level, samadhi yoga. So his karma, what he is experiencing, is just pratisamikshata. So pratisamikshata means it is just passing by. Prabhupada translates here, pratisamikshata, continues to function for some time. It is not that he's going to create new karma and he has to suffer for all of those kind of new karma. So it's interesting, once a young devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, when we get initiated, is our karma stopped? So he was asking a question about initiation. When we get initiated, is karma stopped? And Prabhupada said, yes, it is. On initiation, the plug is pulled. So Prabhupada gave the example of a fan which is connected to an electric power source, and the fan is running, and then at some point you can unplug. At that time, the fan still runs for some time, but then after some time it stops. So Prabhupada compared initiation to the unplugging. So at the time of initiation, we unplug. The plug is pulled out. So that is the real meaning of initiation. Now, initiation, we have to appreciate and understand this, because this verse is talking about adhiruda samadhi yoga, pratibuddha vastu, when one is fully awakened. And initiation appears to be like a very beginning stage. Actually, that is why we must understand Prabhupada's translation of how Prabhupada explained what is initiation in connection with that verse. Divyam jnanam yato dhadyat kuryat papasya sankshayam tasmat diksheti saprokta deshikais tattva kovidaihi. Deshikaihi means by the deshika. Deshika means a spiritual master. That they are called deshika. Tattva kovidaihi. Tattva means the truth, the absolute truth. Kovidaihi means those who know the truth. Those who are experts in understanding. Tattva kovidaihi. Deshikaihi. Tasmat diksheti saprokta. They describe, diksha means this saprokta, they describe diksha iti. They describe initiation in this way. How do they describe? They describe it has two components. One is divyam jnanam yato dadyat. When transcendental knowledge is awakened. Actually, the word dadyat means it is given. It's not something that we will do it ourselves. We will figure out ourselves. It is something that the spiritual master blesses. Divyam jnanam yato dadyat. Kuryat papasya sankshayam. And vanquishes all the reactions of sinful activities. That's how the word diksha, Di represents Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat, and Ksha refers to Kshapayati. Prabhupada explains that Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam, Papasya Kshapayati. So, by knowledge, awakening of the transcendental knowledge, and vanquishing the reactions of sinful activity, this process is described as initiation. Diksha is the process by which one awakens transcendental knowledge. So, Diksha is a process. Process means it happens over a period of time. How long that period of time can be? It can be 1 minute, or it can be millions of lives, and still not attain that. So, Prabhupada said that Diksha is a matter of determination. It is your determination. When you have accepted that Krishna consciousness is important, it is serious, and you have taken it seriously, and you have accepted the spiritual master's discipline, and the spiritual master's discipline that Srila Prabhupada has given are the 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds. This is the minimum that he expected. And he also wanted us to rise early, read his books, do devotional service, worship the deities, serve the mission of the spiritual master, serve the mission of Krishna. All of these are also other devotional activities that Srila Prabhupada taught how we should do. Doing all of these things, that is the process by which Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat, the transcendental knowledge is awakened. And when we are truly initiated, we have unplugged. But generally, because of weakness, after some time we take Diksha, we take the vows of initiation seriously. After some time, again, material energy, illusory energy bewilders us, and we may indulge in sinful activities. We may not follow the regulative principles. We may not remain in that stage, and once again our consciousness is dragged down. Once again we keep trying, and after some time a devotee is expected to learn to become steady. That now I shall not fall down. And that determination is an important element of Diksha. Prabhupada said, your determination is initiation. My touch is only a formality. So this is how we should understand the process of Diksha, that Prabhupada has given a set of instruction, a discipline in life, and we continuing to follow that, by which Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam, transcendental knowledge is awakened. And when that transcendental knowledge is awakened, Pratibuddha Vastuhu, we understand that this is my position. So that is how Srila Prabhupada has explained that Diksha is. And so, in other words, this is the stage one attains, and that stage he never accepts the bodily concept of life. He is now freed from the bodily concept of life because of Divya Jnana. He understands that I am a spirit soul. He is experiencing that kind of a awakened state of existence, and that is the position of a advanced devotee also. So these are some of the points that Srila Prabhupada is talking. We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.